Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. On this here strategy again, we are returning to war in the west. We're driving the Germans in front of us. You can see we've made great progress this turn, and I'm about to hand it over towards the Germans, and I really want to see what they're going to do. I don't know, but I would like to experience that with you. But before we go and do that, I noticed that after, finishing up after the last episode and moving a lot of our units here onto the continent, that we do in fact have one unit here, two units in fact, the 5th Armored Division from the United States, which has still 50 movement points. And I think we could use these guys, we could break through to Arras, we could just harass them over here in Belgium, but I do think it's a little bit more important to dislodge this part of the line over here. And I think just going over here has some promise, because it's going to push back the 15th Army, it's going to push back 3 armored corps, and I think it should actually get us control over Meaux, and that would give us a little bit more railway line control. And there we go. I don't know whether we actually, yeah, we did get control of this hex over here, and that does mean we now get access to, or well, we did at least cut this for the access, so that's fine. The second unit that we have is the 27th Armored Brigade over here from the British side. Now I want to push back. These guys cannot capture terrain adjacent, so I want to push them at least down to here, so that we are getting the rail line over there and cutting that as well. And then I would like to get to Paris, but we can't quite make it into Paris proper. Well, that is unfortunate, so we're just going to get back to Versailles over here, simply so that we have a foothold on that side of the river. But again, the main objective here was to cut that line. So that does mean at this point, the Germans can pretty much only rely on traffic running this route and into Orléans to resupply the entirety of Western France. So I think that's pretty fantastic. Maybe we're going to meet up next week, but let's see what the Germans are going to do. Remember, we have 3 little pockets down here, each with a single division that we have encircled. We should also just take a brief look here at the casualties, because you can see the Germans have lost nearly 60,000 men just this week. And that is fairly fantastic. So they're going to lose more next turn. So here we go. Let's hand it over to them. I'm really afraid that at some point we're going to make a crucial mistake. But so far, I think we're doing great. I think our strategy of bombing the German fuel industry to pieces has worked out fantastically well for us. I think the likelihood of any sort of panzer counter push is going to be extremely slim, because they are going to suffer from that in terms of fuel supply. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. Let's see what they're going to do down here, especially whether they're going to pull back, and indeed it looks like a little bit like they are, to a new front line here. Of course, they are trying to break out. Ooh, and this is actually a very interesting fight over here, because both of these units here, from their respective pockets, are concentrating on a single line over here, and that is nice to see. Nevertheless, of course, they are unsuccessful over here against these Polish defenders. Likewise, over here, we are not even losing anyone, so yeah, but it's only the security regiment, so these guys are sort of weak anyway. But yeah, they have definitively pulled back already, and that's interesting to see. I wonder how many troops they're going to put into Belgium, because one of our most important next objectives is going to be the town of Antwerp. That has a huge harbour. It's, I think, one of the largest harbours on the continent, except for Marseille. Marseille we have already captured, and we are building up some supply towards the north there, but it's taking its time, and we have seriously outrun our supply lines there. So that is a little bit dicey as well, but we'll see. And especially we'll see what the Germans are going to do with Western France. Oh, the weather is not great. Okay, there is going to be rain here. And that, I don't know what that does to our harbours here. Most of these are temporary. Nevertheless, we do have Le Havre. Le Havre is a proper harbour. So is Dieppe. Dieppe is very small, I think level 2. Le Havre is, I think, level 5. So that should sustain us for a while here, but let's see. We're losing quite a couple of men though, so we need to see about that. Okay, what have we got? Okay, this is still considered to be a port 4. Germans have still serious forces, it has to be said, in these various harbours. So that's 2 divisions over here. There is going to be a little bit more than a division over here. 1 here. A little bit more than 1 here. So you can see they're not very weak. They do have forces in Western France still. Okay, the line down here seems to be unchanged. They've definitely pulled back a little bit here from Paris and Fontainebleau, so that does mean we now actually have Paris. And I would have loved for some French units to liberate that, but It was not meant to be. Interestingly, they have also withdrawn a little bit from the Somme over here, which does mean we can push a little bit forward. But it also means that they are going to be able to put up a more serious defense now. Although there are some gaps in there, as you can see, these guys, only two security regiments, that's basically nothing holding that. And this Fallschirmjäger division might be a little bit exposed, as are actually the 712th and the 711th Infantry Division down here. I mean, what is holding against these guys? Pretty much only a bit of an infantry division, a bit of a Luftwaffe field division, with like 5 anti-tank guns. Just, we are wrecking them. We've sent them running at this point. So that's kind of interesting. How is our supply situation looking? Surprisingly fine. I mean, some of these units are definitely running low, like for example these British troops. But all in all, I think we are fine. And these guys are not counting as isolated yet, but I think once we have connected this up, we should see that there is enough interdiction levels to consider all of this here controlled. Yeah, so we have definitively control over the channel, and I would expect that we do have control over the Irish Sea. Yeah, we do. So that does mean as soon as we cut that off, all of these guys here on the left will count as isolated. You guys should count as isolated. Yeah, you do. You do. You actually do, because you can't be supplied from the water. Well, interesting. Good. That does indicate good things for all of this rest. They do have a lot of supply depots throughout France, so this is not over yet. But yeah, we're still getting somewhere. Some supply issues here, but you should be able to see that we have a line coming from Marseille all the way over here towards Valence. And that is going to connect up to Lyon, maybe this turn, maybe next turn. And there's one line running from Genoa through these mountains. Now, I'm debating of not actually connecting this up to Lyon, but actually keeping two separate lines here. One running this way and one running maybe on the other side of the river here. Simply so that the game does know a little bit more to send freight forward and not connect everything up. Maybe it's an idea. I don't know yet. Let's see. Right, how's the situation in Italy? So let's get rid of that because it's just gonna annoy me. Right, so interesting enough, of course, they are reinforcing the position around Bolzano, Bozen, because that is pretty much one of the few. Oh, they have deleted that supply depot. So that does mean they are getting supplies only from Dubiciano now and potentially Innsbruck. That is a long way to route supplies through the mountains. Yeah, and you can see some of these guys are already struggling. That's good to see, though. You guys are you new in the theatre? I don't think I've seen you before. Some forces over here, new infantry division, in these hills. This is gonna in these hills around Villach. That's gonna be tough to break through. And I do think we are seeing more forces down here. We are running a little bit too weak to really push through anywhere. On the other hand, I don't want to send more forces here because we're not really making the same level of progress that we are doing over here. So, yeah. So, let me set up the air directives here, and you guys can rejoin me right after that. Right then, here we are back again. Let's do a look at what the air setup looks like. And I'm going to start down here in southern France. There's, of course, the usual stuff. Desert Air Force supporting the 8th Army over here. But we've also got the Bomber Command. That's also the normal thing. We are sending our Mitchells and Wellingtons this way to engine aircraft. But you can see we are also sending some guys from Tactical Air Command over this way. These are the guys that are fighter bombers, 300 of them, so pretty much Typhoons, Hurricanes, that sort of thing. Yeah, Apache, Warhawks, Thunderbolts, Typhoons. So all of these guys are, I think, a little bit better suited to this type of warfare in the plains down here, in this open terrain where they can harass enemy supply lines. So that is exactly what they're going to do. So we've transferred these guys from pretty much the Venetia region in Italy up over here, and basically are using them here now. We haven't transferred everyone yet because some of these guys still, can I find some, still have some level of damaged aircraft. So yeah, for example over here, these Typhoons, they're 4 damaged aircraft, and if we transfer them over here, they would be lost to us. So I don't really want to do that. We are going to keep it as is for that, so, and gradually push these guys over. That being said, we still use part of Bomber Command down here, so 12th Bomber Command. These guys are still using, oh, this is very small attack. Oh no, this is just a recon, sorry. These are still the Marauders. They are still based over here in Italy, and they're going to support that by their heavy bomber loads in all of this mountainous terrain that we've got down here. Still doing some naval patrols, not a big deal. Still doing some direct ground support for direct attacks. But here's one important thing. Strategic bombing here of Vienna. So that's not the first time that we're doing that, but we have transferred pretty much all of the 15th Air Force. So all of these heavy 4-engine bombers, we've transferred them to this area around Ferrara over here, down from the area of Foggia. So that should give us much better range now. You can basically, let's see, we can probably see what the range is on these. These are Flying Fortresses, and not even the B-24s, but only the Flying Fortress should have a decent range over here. Can we actually see that on this screen? I don't think we can, but basically it should be pretty high, so we should be able to cover most of southern Germany now, and that's pretty fantastic. I think Romania is going to be a little bit more difficult, but not even that much, so I think this is fine. And yeah, we're using these airfields for that now. Ultimately, we might want to push them up even further towards there. Speaking of Vienna, of course, the usual attack against the airfields down, against the oil fields down there. But 8th Air Force, slightly to the north here, is doing something slightly different. So these guys are pretty much bombing Strats, the synthetic fuel refinery here, and in Plauen they're going to use target the AFV factories, so the tank factories in the area of Plauen there. Pretty much nothing else here is being targeted. It's just set up that way so that we don't target Zwickau as well, because that's just really not that important. You can see we're just sort of bypassing the Ruhr area here, trying to fly south of it just to avoid the heaviest of the anti-aircraft guns. Bomber Command still bombing the Ruhr, pretty much everything fine there, except for the number 6 group, so the Canadians. These guys with their Wellingtons, 2-engine bombers, better at daylight bombing. These guys are going to bomb the Belgium area and the rail yards here, simply so that the Germans have a little bit harder time to resupply everyone. So that I think should be okay. Let's see, no other bomb city command. So yeah, let's look at the ground attacks. They are a little bit more numerous. We have set up the the 2nd RAF Tactical Force in 2 different operational areas here. One is going to directly strike at these guys down there, and I'm going to explain why in a moment. And then we're going to do some harassment of their supply lines, whereas 9th Air Force is going to directly attack these units here. Why are we attacking them? So the plan here is going to be a little bit complicated. You can see the German line is very long, and it does have a couple of weak points. For example, over here, just 2 security battalions. That is extremely easy to break through, and it would be very lovely to break through, I think. So that's an interesting target that we've got right here. However, it's not the only target that we have. So basically, we want to find an area where we can break through, where these numbers are pretty small, and where we can do a development. Ideally, it will not just be 2 hexes, but 3 hexes, so that we can push away everyone and then pass through the middle hex sort of unmolested and not bothered by zone of control by either adjacent guys. So down here is actually a fantastic area for that. These guys are fairly weak, and we should be able to push out all of these 3 guys and push onto Reims. Now, it's only one area. There's another area down here which is extremely weak, but the only thing that we could basically get in this area by advancing here and hooking down there is this single infantry division. And that just doesn't feel like a very worthwhile target. So I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to punch through here and then sort of circle north, make a hook around here, maybe achieve a small breakthrough over here. But I think our main line of thrust is going to be around here for that infantry division here. Maybe we can get up here too. Maybe encircle these 2, but I'm not really so sure about encircling both of these guys. But nevertheless, we're going to try to attack these guys. Maybe we need to push them out of the way. Let's see how it's all going to turn out. So, that being said, I think we can execute the air directives here and see what is going to happen. Should be fairly straightforward here. We are also, of course, running a lot of air superiority missions, but I think these are pretty straightforward. It's sending fighters over Germany and Belgium to lure the Luftwaffe in and basically get a lot of them shot down. So that being said, yeah, a lot of interdiction happening here. And we are getting more and more planes, so that's lovely to see. We're also retraining a couple of our fighters to be fighter bombers, so be in the bomber role and the interdiction role, because I think the Luftwaffe is not entirely beaten, but it's certainly not as strong as it used to be. Oh, wait, that is a lot of flak losses that we're taking this time. 14, I think that's pretty significant. It's about 20%, no, not quite 20% damage, but let's call that 10% of, more than 10% of losses for sure. Right, so let's briefly check on the 15th Air Force. I want to know how you guys did. You were attacking Vienna. You did encounter quite a bit of resistance here, but look at that, 23 German fighters shot down. And a lot of oil production being damaged, so yeah, happy about that. 8th Air Force, how did you guys go? Do about 30 planes lost, 30 Germans shot down. That's a bad ratio for the 8th. Normally you're doing much better. Yeah, but I'm thinking the losses were probably due to flak and other things, whereas the Germans didn't. I mean, they only tried to intercept us. They intercepted us 3 times. 2 times they did encounter fighters. The last time this one time they didn't, and they did shoot down a lot of our planes. That is an unfortunate one, but everything else, I mean, you did do what you need to do, so that's fine. Bomber Command, you guys are starting to see lower casualties on your side, so honestly I'm fine with that. And yeah, we're doing some damage here to the rural area. Various different targets in there, so that's pretty much all alright. Don't see any other significant losses here, just by scrolling through that. Except for these ground attacks here by 2nd Air Force. So these interdiction missions, but it's not due to fighters, it's pretty much due to ground stuff. So yeah, that's a little bit to be expected. You guys, yeah, but pretty much nothing else. Number 9 group, RAF. You guys did fairly well. What happened over here? Yeah, that's just generic air combat. We are pouncing on these Germans, shooting them down. Good. I like it. Good. Right, let's see what we've got over here then. So we could attack some of these units here. Now, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to grab these 3 divisions. Gonna blast away these German tanks there. We've got some German infantry here. We've got the Fallschirmjäger division over here. Right, let's try to get the 7th. 2 divisions here from the 7th Corps. It's not going to be enough. Okay, let's get the last one in as well. So 3 divisions now. You guys should be able to overwhelm them, shouldn't you? Yeah, that's nice. Oh, we didn't get any notification here. Let's get to message level 1. Just basically want to check how much losses we're taking on these things. Right, so over here. Oh, that was a German attack, sorry. My bad. Over here, of course. So they are surrendering. 10,000 Germans gone. 90 losses here. That's nice. Up over here, slightly more significant losses, but then again, that was a tank division, so that's good to see. Right. Okay, let's get rid of this, and let's try to get rid of this infantry division over here. Now, we could move you guys over here, but you'd be attacking across a river. I kind of want to avoid that if at all possible. So let's take the 12th Corps over here. Let's take you guys over on this side. And then can you guys deal with that? You might be. Let's do a deliberate attack here with these guys. That's fine. 7-1. That's another 10,000 Germans gone. Good. So that does deal with all of the little pockets that we've got down here. So I think the next thing is that we probably want to move out over here and start to get into closer contact here with the German lines. So let's move out here and start to advance our line from the north, simply because that will allow us to know a little bit about how that line is going to develop. So I think that's going to be alright. Let's actually get you into contact over here, and I'm going to use the sort of smaller ranger groups here to be interdispersed with that. And that is fine. Good. Is that everyone that you're controlling here with the 5th Corps? Well, we do also have these guys, which I'm going to move here to the rear, and then I'm going to ask them to be a part of a reserve, so that you can pounce on everyone that is going to attack us. Right, okay, that's alright. We also have these airborne divisions, which probably we should reallocate at some point. Okay, so that does guard our northern flank. The other thing that, of course, we want to do is we do want to capture Cherbourg, so let's actually grab these guys over here. Get towards that area over there. Guess we can bring you over here. Yeah, so that at least should properly isolate them. Nice. You guys are 10th Corps. Probably want to move you up there after a short while there. But let's see about that. How's the railroad looking? Pretty alright-ish. We're all starting to get somewhere. Chabot is an important harbour. I think what we're probably going to do is really going to leave everyone else to rot. Quite literally. But I think that's going to be alright there. So that does leave the question of how are we going to achieve the breakthroughs here. So I think the first one is to try and do something down here. Now, we don't really have a lot of infantry that is kicking around over here that we could use to achieve the breakthrough, and then use the tanks to guard our front line otherwise. Well, the 7th Corps could move up over here, but I think it will be better suited to maybe doing that over here. We've also got the Canadians, which probably we'd want to move over here. Yeah, let's try to achieve some resemblance of a line here. Okay, nice. That does work out somewhat. And I think what we can try to do is push you back over here. That's a lot of planes that they're going to lose here, if we are breaking through. We are losing 100 men, but we are breaking through. So that's good. That does give us a tiny foothold there. Now the question is, can we move anyone through that? Pretty much no, the answer is. You can get through there. That's fine. How about you guys? You've got a lot of movement points. Well, we can at least channel you into this gap. And potentially a little bit beyond that too. You guys are all 3rd Army, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Right. Yeah, it's pretty much... We've got another armoured group. Yeah, but it's... The issue with these cavalry groups here is they're really not designed to hold any ground. They basically have no infantry whatsoever. They only have a couple of armoured cars and support squadrons here. So, this is just not what they're designed to do. So that being said, let's try to get down here and create a couple of further breakthroughs at these hexes here. Right. Try to brush you out of the way. Gonna get you to retreat, but not much else. But we can do a follow-up attack here with you. That's okay. You guys can get over here too. So yeah, let's try to shift you away. Again, getting them to retreat. Let's try to get these guys away as well. Nice and lovely. Good. Right, it's still kind of difficult to try to get you all to converge somewhat in the rear of these 2 German divisions here. Yeah, simply there are too many Germans here. I mean, it's to be expected that at some point we do run out of steam, so to say. But it's a little bit annoying. Right, we can try to create the breakthrough here and just be on a much broader setting. Would that work though? Okay, 12th Corps, you're going to get down here. You're going to grab something in between. Okay, that's alright, I suppose. Good. That's your also 12th Corps. Let's get you over here. Headquarters is going to follow on. Right, there we go. Okay, you guys, this division, can you break through them? Let's try. We're getting them barely to retreat. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit too careless here, but I think with some of these guys we can just push them up. Okay, you guys do move over here. You guys could move there. That's alright. From there on you'll be able to do another attack. You guys are pretty much all exhausted. That's okay though. You guys could get over here as well, so let's do that. Let's try to use you two against this position. That's not going to be enough, I think. So let's add some... Excuse me. Let's add some tanks here to the mix. And hopefully that should be enough. Let's do a deliberate attack here. No, they are holding out, and they are strongly holding out, actually. 2-1 for them. So that was a failure. That was pretty much a harsh failure of an attack. Now we can't do a deliberate attack, but what we could do... So I underestimated that little hex there. Right, let's bring forward you guys, and you're going to be accompanied by the Belgians, who are going to push away the security battalion first. Nothing much lost except a single bomber there. That was probably even an accident. So that's alright. You've now moved on a little bit. What we can do is send the Belgians here to the north, send the Americans over here. Is there a unit down here? There is apparently. Right, but we do need to kick away these guys. So let's bring forward the tanks here. Maybe one further unit? Or do we have one? You guys should stay up over there with your group there. Do we have the Canadian tanks too? They are pretty strong. But I think I'm going to use the British here to just make this an all-British assault. Yeah, this time we are getting them to retreat. That's lovely. We did use a lot of movement points here, but I think it's okay. Right, do we have any further sort of smaller units? Yeah, I think the Czech guys can get over here, and you guys should now be able to do another attack over here. Push you away, that's lovely, good, I like it. Can you advance? No, you can't. Can you advance? No. Let's try to get the Americans forward here. We are pushing away all of these headquarters and capturing some German lines here, which is lovely. But especially some of these German planes should be very lovely to capture. Good, okay. So let's try to get a couple of people through this gap here now. Can we advance anyone over here? Potentially you should be able to advance a little bit at least. No, not at all. Even though you have 9 movement points. You can't even get to the rear here. That's awkward. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why you can't pass through here. You can't get far, but at least you get somewhere. Okay. That's a little bit odd, I have to say, but okay. Fine. More Americans over here. You can actually pass through this gap here, which is fantastic. So I think we're going to be alright if I do get through here. Sort of pass through there in the middle. Get you guys a little bit to the front line as well. Get these Canadian... anyone move up into that gap? Yeah, you can. Okay, you can't get anywhere. That's not quite true. You could get into there. Right. You guys can get down here. So let's continue to build up this line. You guys? Anywhere? Yeah. Okay, at least over there. So yeah, it's more and more, it resembles a decent line. You guys, well, we could try to attack these guys down here, but make it a little bit easier to pass through here. This axe is technically counting as isolated already, but probably not going to be enough. Right, okay, let's get some infantry over here. That does free up these troops to move forward. At least into this gap. We do need more troops over here though. Quite desperately actually. Because we have committed to this already now. So, tanks. Okay, let's get the tanks towards this gap here. You guys can close the gap over here, but can we actually... I think this is one of the most critical points, because this is 2 divisions. This down here is probably another 2 divisions, but this is a very, very important stop. Okay, yeah, okay. The paratroopers gap over there. Lovely. Paratroopers over there. Further American troops here. You can support the paratroopers actually. This position over here is kind of weak. But okay. You guys close the gap here behind these guys. This is a little bit open still. And by little I mean a lot. So who can we move into there? And how far? Okay, I think we do need to try to create some sort of breakthrough here. Question is, can anyone move up far enough? Okay, you guys can get over here. Let's try to get rid of these guys. Okay, you're holding out actually. Interesting. I did not expect that. But as I said, sometimes we do tend to get a little bit careless over here. Right. No one. You've got a decent amount of movement points. Right. Let's get you here. It's really, really weird that you can't move anywhere. Okay, you can't. You can make it over there at least and support that push. Okay, let's get 2 of you here. And do another attack against these guys. Nope. We are definitely not going to push them away. Except maybe if we use the Canadians. That does work now. Okay, lovely. Do you actually have a depot in here? You have a lot of depots in here. Another one down here, although I'm not sure whether they are storing any supplies in there. Okay, no one through here can move up anywhere. You guys could at least get into contact, maybe prevent these guys from withdrawing? I don't know. Well, okay, you can close that gap. This over here is a little bit awkward. Good push to the south as well, but I think this up here just destroying many more Germans is going to be quite critical. Nope. Nope. Well, it's interesting that you can get here, but not any further. Right, you can't even do an attack here. That is quite unfortunate. Yeah. It would be lovely if we had more troops, but we just don't. Okay, so maybe a little bit more than we could. Attempted to do a little bit more here than ultimately we'll be able to achieve. But I mean, this is still 2 divisions that we have encircled over there, so that is still kind of significant, but is it going to be enough? I don't know. Right, let's do advance these headquarters and everyone over here. Get you into contact at least. Get you into contact over here. Could start to threaten these points to the south there. But on the other hand, you're the Dutch. I think you'd want to go towards your homelands there a little bit more. Right, okay, let's get you over here. That should pretty much cover everyone over there. That's okay. You guys are going to support from there. You guys do move somewhat in between your headquarters. That's fantastic. 2nd British Army, yeah, you got it. That corps, that's okay. Do we need to advance down here anywhere? Don't really think so, but let's do capture this hex at least. That hex there, and this rail line will ultimately come in useful. Right, and then you guys can generally go to Paris. I think that's gonna be nice. Yeah, I think that's okay. Good. Right, and that does mean everyone over here does have some capabilities. So not a big push to the south here, but still, I mean, how much have we encircled now? So that's a single infantry division. That's another infantry division. That is the 3rd infantry division. That is, let's call that another infantry division. So that's 4. 4 2/3. Yeah, 4 2/3 of an infantry division plus 2 corps, total corps headquarters. So I think that's actually pretty nice. Now we could try to be a little bit more aggressive here in the north. I think you guys are going to get here to the south because from here on you'll be able to attack these 2 hexes, so that should be okay. Right, you guys find where you are, I think. Don't think the Germans will achieve a breakthrough there, so that should be okay. This is just headquarters, and this is 2 more infantry units, which we are generally going to move towards the front. Let's move down here. I think that's nice. So that you can clear out all of these guys. Should we be able to maintain that block over here? Although I'm not sure that we will be able to, but still, it's going to be all right. All right, so that does settle all of these units that we've got up here. Do we even have any more? Oh, only a couple of only a couple of paratroopers, so that's a no-no. Right, let's get towards this southern position then. So, still slightly awkward because we are starting to feel some supply issues here. But that should not stop us from trying to achieve breakthroughs here against the Germans whenever we feel that is a potential. Nevertheless, I also do certainly want to get these guys here to be isolated, and that we did. So that's fine. That does mean the Germans have no more capabilities of east-west traffic, so that's pretty nifty, I think. Good. Anywhere where we can break through. Well, this entire area here does look pretty weak, I have to say. So that's fine, but where does that leave us? This area up here is also pretty weak, but are we going to be able to achieve a breakthrough on that scale? I should not think so. Nevertheless, if we do break through over here, I think that does unhinge their entire line here, and they're probably going to withdraw anyway. It would be better to encircle some units in the process, but would that be even a realistic prospect? You guys can't even... I mean, this is just the infantry division. I think with 2 movement points you could still potentially attack. Yeah, you could. But not very effectively. You guys can. Okay, you're going to support that. Anyone else who can come over here? Well, some motorized troops. Okay, let's try to get an breakthrough here with all of you guys. Is that... yeah, it's going to be enough to get them to retreat. It's actually going to get them to retreat towards that direction, which is also kind of interesting. Right, does that mean you can break through over here? You can actually do that. Now, it does start to look a bit interesting to me. Right, what's the furthest troop that we can bring over here as well? Okay, that's the headquarter. I do actually need the infantry. Well, basically, we need our fast troops then to actually guard this breakthrough. Get through further with our troops here like that. Get you towards, let's say, over here. Capture a depot over there. That's lovely. We should have tried to capture that one as well. Oh well. Right, how about you guys? Well, you could get through there. Right, and then, let's see. You guys, try to get over here. Try to overwhelm these guys. You did actually get them to retreat, but not much more. These guys are a little bit harder to pull away. Let's try to get rid of you entirely, though. Good. Right. You can anchor that line. And you can start to get into the rear here. But again, we really just don't have enough forces to really create a big breakthrough there. At least not link up these forces. But I'm pretty optimistic that that will still make them break from that little encirclement over here. Or semi-encirclement. Half encirclement if you want. It would be good to get into contact with a lot of these units at least. Right, so let's move up the infantry just to make sure that all of these guys are in contact with someone, because it just might be enough to do a little bit more of zone of control, which then does create some issues for them, so I think that's alright. Also, I do of course want to make sure that they can't break through actively on their side. So yeah, I think this is okay. Yeah, it just would be nice to create an entire breakthrough somewhere, encircle some of these units. But again, it just doesn't seem viable. Right. Yeah, there's no other fast unit. We could motorize some, but don't think so. Yeah, let's make sure to create some sort of threat towards them. They're probably all going to be able to withdraw, but at least you know what, we did create a threat over here, and these guys do suffer some issues here. Specifically, they don't really have that many supply depots or anywhere down here. Really, only on this line actually, so that's actually alright. Good, and that will also be able to attack over there. Somewhat weird line over there, honestly. These guys I'm going to move up all in between episodes. How are we looking then down here in Italy? So I think we did see that they did destroy that depot. They haven't destroyed this one over here, so that does mean we can get in here and start to threaten their rear lines. So that should be okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. How about we push out over here, capture that airbase. Most of our airbase are now not in contact with the enemy, so that's good. Down here in the south, they only have a very limited number of supply depots. Pretty much only around here. Klagenfurt is of course still there. Spital. If we could cut this over here, that would be fantastic, but don't think we can. Do we have enough forces to cut off this peninsula here? Not sure. We do have 2 tanks, I think, that are free to move around at the moment. And pretty much no other forces that we can plug in there. Well, that's not quite true. We can get these poles. So at least cut off this southern bit here. I think it's viable. I think it should be viable. Right, let's do an attack over here. Okay, routed. You're completely gone. Nice. Move up the tanks. Move up these tanks. Move up the poles. No, you can't quite make it. The Italians. Oh Jesus, really? Can no one get in there? Oh, that's awkward. How about you? Jesus, why can no one get into there? Well, we might have to pull you back. That's okay. Fine. So that does somewhat work. We do need to plug that gap though. Let's do move forward the poles. Let's do move you guys up here. You can get there. That does settle that. You guys can get down here? But not really, not quite. Okay, but this should count as isolated now. Yes, it does. Good. Bit of a gap over here that I'm not too happy about. Okay, let's actually try to push you away. That should rout them. Yep. Get you over here. These guys are now threatened. This is all fine. You could pull back, but I don't want to pull back. Definitely need to move the headquarters to a safe place. Yeah. We have too few forces down here, but I do think we have someone down here somewhere in Naples. Yeah. You guys, do take the rail, please. Can't make it very far, but at least over here. And then you might be able to support that in due time. No push that we want to do up here. We could start to threaten them. You know what? Let's start to threaten them over here. I think that should convince them to pull back. Yeah. Okay, speaking of pulling back, we do need to come over here just to make sure that they're not pushing through our lines here. But yeah, I think this is fine with this cutoff down there. So, all in all, I think some decent moves over here. We've pretty much isolated France. We have made a small encirclement for sure, and we've certainly dislodged a lot of their lines. So I think that does enable us to pretty aggressively push on towards Belgium and Flanders in the next turn. So yeah, I think this is going to be okay. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Do leave a like, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.